So I went ahead and I watched the full interview that John Cena did with Chris Van Vliet. I know there's other long form interviews that John Cena has done talking about his retirement. I have not watched those just because they're so long, and maybe one day in the future I'll get to them. I don't feel the need to watch every single one of them. I knew he was going to sit down with Chris Van Vliet, and I'm like, okay, you know what? That's the one I'm going to watch. All the other ones, maybe they're better, maybe they're worse, maybe they're exactly the same. I got no idea, but there's only so much time in a day. That's the one I'm going to actually watch. So it dropped. I went ahead and I checked it out. He shows up in his striped suit and tie, and he really gave a lot of suit and tie answers. He really just gave a lot of politician answers. Nothing really there that you haven't heard already. And anytime something controversial came up, he navigated through it like a politician. You know, anytime there was something that maybe could have got a little bit juicy, where it's like, hey, you know, this kind of controversial right here, man. You know, spill the beans, like, what's up? He would just flip it, right? It was just like, just completely positive, and it was just like, I didn't really get anything out of it other than, hey, I'm listening to John Cena, possibly for the last time before he steps into the ring as a professional wrestler. There was things like that were brought up where Chris asked him, like, hey, you know, who's somebody that you wish you would have shared the ring with that you didn't get to share the ring with? And John would just say, like, you know what? It doesn't matter. What matters is all the guys I did share the ring with, you know? I don't want to take away from that. It was just such politician stuff. In reality, I'll go ahead and I'll answer, because I think, I'm not so sure, but I think I've heard John Cena say this. I know that he wanted to share the ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin. When Stone Cold was doing the Tough Enough and John was there, you know, he was asked by one of the competitors at Tough Enough. They asked, hey, is there somebody that you would love to share the ring with? And John was like, yeah. And he looks at Stone Cold, right? Is that the one guy out there that John would have really loved to share the ring with? I don't know, but at least there you could get some sort of answer. Instead, John Cena gives a politician answer where it's just like, what, that doesn't matter. What matters is all the guys that I got to share the ring with, and that's the beauty in it. And it was just such like suit and tie stuff, man. You know, I remember when Booker T was asked on his podcast. Somebody had asked Booker T a few years back, hey, who's the one guy that you wish you would have had a match with that you didn't get to share the ring with? And he actually gave an answer. It doesn't take away from all the guys that Booker T was in the ring with. But he actually gave an answer. He said, the one that got away was HBK, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And I just kind of thought to myself, like, yeah, that's right, man. I guess they never got in the ring together. Wow, you know? But those were just kind of the answers that John Cena was given, or that he was giving. And Chris, as soon as he got an answer like that, he didn't really push more to try to get something out of John. He would just accept John Cena's answer, and that was that. It's not where it's like, well, you know, can you name a couple guys? He wouldn't push back. He'd ask a question, John Cena would answer, and that's all Chris would do. He'd leave it alone. And actually, the interview, Chris spoke very little. He would ask a question, and John would give a good 10, 15 minute answer and just talk and talk and talk, which I understand. You're not there to hear from the one who's doing the interview. You want to hear the person that's being interviewed. But I was just like, okay, John's going. He's going on a spill, man. He's going, you know. But at the same time, you're really not getting anything new. It's a bunch of things that you already know, right? The whole thing of he's not choosing who he faced in his last year. There was a couple of cool things that came out right there that Chris pointed out. Like, one thing was that this year, 2025, John Cena's final year, he's had more matches this year since 2018, and they went down year by year. I think 2018 he had, I forgot, I think they said 16 matches or 18 matches. This year he's had 20 matches. And every year after 2018, he's had one match or, 2 matches or 3 matches or 4 matches, whatever. But this is the year that he's had the most matches since 2018, which I thought was pretty interesting. The whole Brock Lesnar squash match, that was brought up. And they're like, Chris is like, what's that about, man? Is it just trying to put Brock over? And he's all like, no, it's about Brock. It's about Brock is back. It's about Brock is the beast. So he's, it wasn't about John Cena that night. It was about Brock Lesnar. Here's the problem with that. It's John Cena's final year. If you're going to do something like that with Brock Lesnar, it doesn't need to be John Cena, especially since John Cena has been losing for so many years now. Yes, he gained a couple wins this year. I don't want to be repetitive on that, but it's not really putting it's really not putting Brock Lesnar over. You could do that with somebody else. I get it. What John was saying is like, he's on his way out, so it's not hurting him. I mean, I think it hurts his legacy. Definitely, he's a Hall of Famer, hands down. No matter what happens, with his last match or whatever happened this year, it didn't really matter in his legacy of him being a Hall of Famer, a true Hall of Famer. Of course not. But just the way people are going to remember you, that's kind of the thing where I'm just kind of like, good gosh, man, this is horrible. Another thing that Chris pointed out is something that I've been thinking for a long time now. And I'm like, okay, finally there's somebody else that is pointing out what I haven't pointed out yet. I'll make a separate video on it. I just want John Cena's career to be done. I was waiting for his final match on Saturday Night's Main Event to make that video. And I will make that video, but since Chris pointed it out, yeah, he's talking about the heel turn and the conflation of what's going on with all that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm glad he caught that. I'm glad he caught that. Because I've been waiting for John Cena's final match to be over so I could go ahead and make that video. So I will be making that video. Everything with The Rock and I forgot the rapper's name. That douchebag, man, that busted Cody's eardrum. Travis Scott, that busted Cody's eardrum. All that stuff. There was really no substance there in the conversation. There was really nothing brought out right there. There was, he just kind of gives Rock a pass. Like, yeah, no, I get it. He's busy. He's doing other things, the NFL, all this other stuff. And then brings up Pat McAfee. It's like when Pat McAfee said that, the schedule got too heavy for him. Yeah, I get it. I understand. Go for, And I'm just like, all right, just straight politician answers, just straight suit and tie answers. So there's really nothing that I really learned. The part where he came out and said, look, he didn't choose any of his opponents. Okay. But what he did choose, or I'm sorry, not that he chose, where he did have a say-so, where he did push his weight around a little bit, was Saturday Night's Main Event, which is this Saturday for his final match. He did say he wants some NXT. He wants new blood in there. He wants them to get some shine. He wants some of the WWE superstars and NXT stars, upcoming NXT stars, and some of the WWE stars to get some shine. I really, really hope he goes out with a victory. He has lost so much. It is not putting Gunther over. It is not. Gunther has been champion already. He broke the Honky Tonk Man's record with the Intercontinental Championship. He's been the main champion already. He's been dominant. Him beating John Cena does not catapult his career anywhere. He's already over. So I really hope John Cena wins this final match. All that being said, Chris Van Vliet, the whole episode, it was just a politician answer type of type of interview. Wasn't bad. I mean, it was entertaining for what it was to a certain extent. As I'm trucking it along, driving long miles, something to listen to. Was it great? Looked good on Chris. He had him on there. He asked a couple of questions. Didn't really push hard to get some real good, serious answers. It was just all politician talk, all suit and tie talk. But nonetheless, it was decent. It was okay. How were all the other long form interviews from John Cena? I don't know. Maybe one day I'll go ahead and I'll check them out. But what's your guys' thoughts? You guys let me know. Total Trucker Wrestling Rehab. Shout out to all the junkies. Catch you guys on next one.